Cloud Chasing 101 Part 2. If you missed Cloud Chasing 101 Part 1, it's in the description below. Check it out. I suggest you watch that video before this one. So just to recap, in Part 1 of this segment or topic, I went over 3 different factors. Okay, 1, airflow, 2, the mod you are using, and 3, the type of juice you are using. Before we move any further in this segment, I want to take a step back and talk about the e-liquid I'm using. Okay, in Part 1, I mentioned that the e-liquid that I was using was 100% VG. I do want to correct myself, okay? This e-liquid is not 100% VG, but it is VG based, PG free. That's all I'm trying to say. Primarily VG. I would say something like 80-85% VG. Moving forward, today I'm going to show you guys a coil building technique, a wicking technique, and an inhale/exhale technique. The addy I'm going to be using today is the Plume Veil by Aethertech. Sick as tits addy. This thing is a beast. I keep mentioning that, but that's why I'm using this to chuck the clouds. Originally, I was going to show you guys how to do a sleeper build, a dual sleeper build, which is a single strand build using 22 gauge G-plat. Plans have changed. Since I'm using this Plume Veil, I don't need to because of the way the positive post is set up. It's a positive block with 2 separate holes and no need to do a sleeper build. No need. So what I'm going to be doing today is a dual 24 gauge G-plat parallel build. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you how to wicker. Oh yeah. Now if you're worried about using G-plat, I suggest you read this. That right there is straight from the company who manufactures G-plat. So if you still have doubts, well then don't use it. Just use regular old 24 gauge Kanthal and follow my tutorial, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to dive down. I'm going to show you guys how to do this dual parallel build, wicking techniques, and we're going to come back, talk about inhale, exhale techniques, blow some clouds. Oh, let's get to it, shall we? I'm going to be using some G-plat 24 gauge wire. Today I'm going to be using the Plume Veil RDA sitting on top of the 24 karat gold plated special edition V3 flip. Oh yeah. Just a reminder, we are doing a dual parallel build with this 24 gauge G-plat. Now I've cut about a foot of this 24 gauge G-plat, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it evenly. Okay. Press the bent end together as close as possible. Make sure they're nice and even, parallel all the way through. That's why I love using this G-plat wire. Super soft, super easy to work with. Easiest wire to work with that I've dealt with to date. Next step, I'm going to use this screwdriver, this flathead screwdriver. The end right here, which is equivalent to a 3/32 drill bit. Got my first parallel wire, and I'm going to do 6 wraps as close together as possible. You can't have overlapping wire. One more wrap. There is our first parallel coil, one lead going under, one lead going over in the same direction. Now all we're going to do is duplicate this exact same process I just showed you for the second coil. Okay, got both parallel coils. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to clip that longest lead, well both the longest leads, just a touch on either side. You want to make sure that when you insert both those leads that they are parallel, just like that. Alright, you notice how I put this lead on the opposite side? It makes it easier to center the coil that way. Boom. Look at that. What? Centered. Clip the leads. First coil installed. Again, you want to make sure that you're inserting the leads, that they're parallel and not crisscrossing, overlapping, etc. Tighten down the connections. Center this coil. And that is the beginning of a 24 gauge G-plat parallel, dual parallel build. Be gentle. Oh man, they're already looking good. Going from the inside out, it's what you want. 0.09. Now on to wicking. I've got my organic cotton right here, and this is how I do it. Kind of pull out a little bit. And that's what we got right there. And I'm going to use this long, thick strip for both coils. Pull that in half. So now I've got two strips. So with this first strip, I'm just going to roll it up. Now I can already tell this is going to be a little thick. So what I'll do is I'll pull just a little bit out, a little section, thin it out a little bit, pull just a little more out of there. But the goal in all this is you want this wick to be tight. You want this sucker to fit tight because you're vaping at such a low resistance and that cotton will collapse. Okay, see how tight that is on this end? And that's what you want. Just pull it through. Oh yeah. Okay, you want it tight like that. Tight, tight, tight. Same exact thing on the other side. Tight, tight, tight. Oh yeah. Boom. Next step, I'm just going to pull the tail underneath the coil just like that. Same thing on this side. Make sure there's space behind here because you've got airflow. Okay, this is the plume veil, and there is airflow coming in from these negative posts. Now everybody's got their own methods. Someone may have a totally different method, but this is what works for me. Leave a little space in between these posts for the airflow. Give it a good soak, and what happens is when that cotton gets wet, it expands, which is good. It's good, you want that. If I have space underneath this coil, and this is only for cloud chasing because the resistance is going to be so low, and it's going to burn through this juice, it's going to vaporize this juice super fast. I make sure that there's plenty of cotton underneath this coil, but as you guys can see, there is a little space right here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill her up. Again guys, this is what works for me. It may not work for you. All this is subjective, and everybody has got their own method of doing things. Give it a good soak, and what happens is this cotton, as it gets wet, it will expand. Put a tiny bit of cotton on the other side. Fogging it. Oh yeah. Lined up in front of each coil on the front and down below on the sides as well. And the next step I did was I took out that Delrin insulator, and that's what really makes it. And that's why I'm using this RDA in this video, part 2, because she can really chuck it. Take out that Delrin insulator and suck it through the top. Isn't this fun? Alright, so I got the Plume Veil RDA all set up, wide open. As you guys can see and saw in the close-up, I took that Delrin insulator out. Whoo, she is straight piping, boy. Again, the mechanical mod I'm going to be using today is this V3 flip. I've got a love affair with this baby. 24 karat gold plated special edition. She hits like a beast. Got a freshly charged VTC5 battery in here. I can't stress enough, guys, use the safest batteries. Little repeat, the build in here is a 0.09 build, as you guys saw in the close-ups, using the 24 gauge G-plat dual parallel. First thing you want to do is completely empty your lungs. Now what I like to do is inhale, exhale. I feel like I'm in a freaking yoga class. Okay, but when you exhale, you want to slightly bend forward. And what that does is it allows your diaphragm to push out any extra air. I'll inhale, exhale, bend forward. Gets rid of all of the excess air in your lungs, clears them out, ready for takeoff. Now what a lot of cloud chasers are doing is they're emptying the last bit of air into their RDA, and that's why you see a lot of these guys blowing into their RDA and you see the vapor come out both holes and then they start to inhale. And I think the reason why they're doing that is, one, to get the excess air out of their lungs, and two, is because it provides a momentum, I would say like a jump start, if you will. And that is when you inhale as hard as you can, as long as you can. And as you inhale, you're going to want to straighten your back up. Okay, because it opens those lungs. It allows the vapor to come rushing in. You could get more vapor in there. That's what you want. Alright, so I ditched my chair. I'm about 10, 12 feet away from the camera, you guys. And what I'm doing is I'm on my knees. So what I'm going to be doing is combining the first 4 steps. The inhale process, I'm going to go ahead and exhale. And then when I'm done, I'm going to go over all the steps to the exhale process. Combine them into one, baby. Combine them into one. Alright, you ready? Alright, so I'm back in my chair. Let's go ahead and recap the first 4 steps, okay? 1, you got to empty your lungs all the way. While you empty your lungs, you want to slightly lean forward. And what that's doing is it's allowing your diaphragm to get rid of all that excess air, the extra air that you have in your lungs, okay? While you're doing that and bending forward, you're hitting that fire button, you're going straight to your RDA, you're blowing that extra air, the last bit of air into your RDA, forcing the vapor to come out both ends, and what that's doing is it's allowing you to get a jump start, a kick start, if you will. Then after that, boom, that's when it starts. You inhale as hard as you can, and while you're inhaling, you're straightening your back up. And what that's doing is it's opening up your lungs, it's allowing more vapor to come in, which means you're going to get more plumes, baby. More plumes, bigger clouds. Now let's say you've done the first 4 steps. Now you're on to the exhale technique. Once you begin to exhale, you want to do so at a constant pace. And as you exhale, you want your lower jaw to be slightly pushed out, just like this. It's kind of like a bulldog. You ever seen a bulldog? They got that lower jaw slightly pushed out. That's how you want it to be. But what it does is it forces you to open up everything. It opens up your lips. It opens up your throat. It allows the vapor to escape easy and more efficient. So right about now, we're almost at the stretch, boys and girls. We're almost at that straightaway. Now what you want to do next, after that, let's say your lungs are almost empty. You're almost out of gas. You're almost out of vapor, air, etc. That's when you want to tighten your lips up, like if you were to whistle. Okay, so it goes from just like that. And what that does, tightening those lips. And remember, you want to tighten your lips up right at the end. At the end of the exhale, tighten those bad boys up. And that last push, tighten your lips up, will shoot a bullet of air into your cloud, which will cause it to plume. Okay, that's why you see a lot of these guys blowing these clouds. These guys winning these competitions, their cloud, it just looks like it explodes at the end. That's what that is. Tightening your lips up, blowing that last bit of air into it. Woo! It causes that to plume up. Whew. Just like that. I'm going to demonstrate everything once again. It's going to be all one process. You ready? Alrighty, so that is everything that I just showed you, that I just talked about, combined into one process, and it takes time. It's taken me 2 months to get where I'm at, and I know that I have a long way to go. I mean, I'm chucking the clouds, but there's guys out there that have this mastered. It's super hard. It takes a long time to master. This is no joke, guys. I'm telling you, this is going to be a sporting event someday. I've got that vision where I see this potentially being a sporting event because there's so much involved. So much. That is the conclusion of part 2 of Cloud Chasing 101. I hope that helps. Stay tuned for Cloud Chasing 101 part 3 coming at you very soon. This is Rip Trippers, and remember, smoking is dead, vaping is the future, and the future is now.